What's up, YouTube? It's Anthony Castillo with you guys with another talk. So today I kind of got done with a lot of stuff. I have a lot of I had some research stuff I was getting done, and also just kind of reading some literature as well. So I guess the intention of this talk is kind of just to offer a perspective. And I think that is important at this point right now, especially as, various areas of disciplines like social psychology, even in, studies in psychiatry, studies in organizations, businesses, analytics, stuff like that. So I know there's an overwhelming amount of disciplines out there, and we often we can get a little thwarted, I would say, with not understanding perspective. Like, I know in various organizations and businesses always want to try to come back to a mindset of maintaining perspective. We have to maintain perspective, because we can get so overwhelmed with too much going on. We're caught up with so much different types of subscribers for entertainment purposes, and maybe we're even looking for other ways to get better, either seeking out a new type of influencer that is all about self-development. However, because for the intention of this video, and for the intention for the whole channel, it's a spiritual channel. So there's a spiritual perspective, and it's focused on liminal spaces and liminality. There is an actual wealth of research, I would say, regarding about science and spirituality, as well as having some sense of faith. Now, I want to be precautious about how I explain the word faith, because some of us have not understood it. Many people in communities have not understand faith, because we often focus ourselves much on this subscriber mentality, like I said in my previous video. So I just want to make this one very clear in terms of perspective. Even the word intention, we want to set our intentions correctly. Sometimes when we're off our direction in life, we need to recalibrate our intentions. We need to fix our intentions, and also fix our perspectives, right? Because if we go off on a tangent, and we just sometimes just start speaking randomly to people in public, like for me, I'll be honest, I'll give you a little slight testimony. I've made sure that a lot of the friends that I've had in my lifetime, I've stayed in touch with them, but because in the aging community and aging population, sometimes it's been healthy for me to have distanced myself, or not distance, but have not had a lot of friends, because some of the closest friends you're always going to remember are going to be the ones that you do remember for the longest. This is not to say that you should be a people pleaser and go out there and make a bunch of friends. That's not the intention here. Sometimes the closest people you're going to ever remember are the people that have grown up, have matured and moved on with their lives. And I think that's a very important key insight to always remember, because the other day I remember just having I texted my best friend, or sent a message to one of my good friends long ago. I just said happy birthday, and I remember just remembering her birthday, and that's those memories you're gonna want to remember, because I'll be honest, that was like a high school friend a long time ago. But aside from that, maintaining perspective, I think it's important that we do look at perspective, especially from a spiritual point of view, because some of us are gonna think that we want to change our identity of who we are. We want to be a Christian nationalist, or we want to now become a Christian agnostic, or now putting labels in certain ways. So, or non-denominational, or becoming now into a Catholicism. So that's not the point here. It was never intended for this perspective. It's kind of the reason why I never put doctrine for that respectful reason, was because it was because of doctrine where it can mislead people. And I don't ever want to ever come to a point where I am developing all these irrational doctrine, or maybe just not making any sense with the doctrine. Anyways, remember guys, to maintain perspective at all times, I would say, from a spiritual perspective. Spirituality is meant to not be as simple, but it's meant to kind of challenge the critical thinking. Because for me, I'm a huge advocate for education. Whether you want to go out there and be a nurse, you want to be out there and become a well-known economist, you know, someone that is really, really well educated in economy and how to understand, you know, the oscillations in the market and what is influencing people's social behavior, stuff like that. All for it, you know, go for it, all for it. You know, you're maintaining that perspective. Now, I wouldn't randomly go off and start talking about, what would I be talking about? Photosynthesis. I'm not a botanist. I would not be talking about that stuff. So that's just an example of like spirituality and spiritual perspective. Aside from that, hopefully you guys can understand that this channel is meant to be spiritually motivating and also spiritually uplifting, because it's about uplifting the spirit, uplifting, you know, your viewpoint about faith and your viewpoint about how to move forward in life. Anyways, guys, remember to subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.